There comes a moment in every person's life when the weight of their situation feels heavier than their strength. A moment when the path ahead looks unclear, when things you were sure about start shaking, and when the plans you built with confidence begin to fall apart right in front of you. In times like these, the heart begins to question, the mind starts to wander, and doubt silently tries to take over your spirit. But even in that silence, even in the confusion, something inside you whispers that this is not the end, that there is still a way forward, and that you haven't been abandoned for a single second. That whisper is not your imagination. It is the voice of the one who has carried you through storms you didn't even know you survived. It is the quiet assurance of a God who sees what you cannot see, who understands what you cannot explain, and who has already prepared a solution long before the problem ever appeared in your life. You may be standing in a place where everything feels delayed, where doors seem locked, and where people you trusted walked away when you needed them most. You may be fighting battles in private that no one around you knows about. But I want you to listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. The situation you're facing is not a sign that you are forgotten. It is a sign that God is getting ready to show you that your story is bigger than the struggle. He allows certain moments not to break you, but to shift you, to mature you, and to bring you to the place where your faith becomes stronger than your fear. Right now, even if you can't feel it, God is working behind the scenes. He is rearranging things, removing what was limiting you, preparing what will bless you, and aligning you with people, opportunities, and moments that fit the purpose He has placed inside your life. Nothing you're going through is random. Nothing you've lost is wasted. Nothing you've prayed for has been ignored. Every tear, every setback, every delay has been seen by the one who knows exactly how to turn your pain into strength and your confusion into clarity. This is the moment you remind yourself that trusting God is not about understanding everything. It's about knowing that He never fails. It's about believing that even when life feels unstable, His plan is steady. It's about resting in the truth that the same God who opened doors for you before will do it again in ways far greater than you expect. So whatever you're facing, whatever is weighing on your heart, whatever seems impossible right now, trust Him. He is already fixing the situation piece by piece, step by step, in ways you cannot yet see but will soon witness. There comes a moment in every person's life when they are forced to choose between panic and trust, between fear and faith, between holding everything together in their own strength, or placing it fully in the hands of God. And the truth is, most people try to fight their battles alone. They carry the weight of their problems on their shoulders, exhausting themselves with worry, overthinking every detail, trying to fix everything with human understanding. But God never designed you to live like that. He never asked you to solve your life by yourself. He simply asked you to trust Him. Trust is not passive. It's not sitting in a corner, hoping things magically change. Trust is spiritual strength. It's the decision to stay aligned with God's voice even when everything in your life is shouting the opposite. Trust is choosing calm in the middle of chaos because you know the one who controls the storm. Trust is the silent confidence you carry when the situation makes no sense, but your spirit knows that God is working behind the scenes. Your situation might look difficult, delayed, or even impossible right now. But God is not asking you to understand the entire path. He is only asking you to take one step at a time with Him. Every delay has purpose. Every disappointment is shaping direction. Every closed door is a divine redirection. When you trust God, you stop seeing the situation through your limited vision and begin to see through His perspective. You start realizing that what you thought was rejection was actually protection. What you thought was loss was preparation. What you thought was silence was God rearranging things in your favor. People often panic when they can't see progress. They think God has forgotten them, but divine timing does not operate on human logic. Things can be motionless for months and then shift in a single moment. God does not rush because He is never late. He moves with precision, strategy, and purpose. Trusting God means you refuse to let fear be louder than faith. It means you let go of the outcome and allow God to take the lead. It means you stop begging for clarity and start walking in obedience. It means you no longer rely on your own strength because you know God's strength is already carrying you. When you surrender the fight to God, you begin to notice the small signs that He is working. You begin to feel peace where there used to be anxiety. You begin to feel clarity where there used to be confusion. You begin to see opportunities appear that you didn't even ask for. You begin to meet people who help you get where God wants you to be. Trust opens the door to supernatural alignment. It shifts you from survival mode into growth mode. It allows you to step out of fear and step into faith. God fixes situations not when you panic, but when you align your spirit with His timing. Your breakthrough is rarely loud. It often comes quietly through subtle changes, through unexpected blessings, through gentle nudges in your spirit. But you can only receive those things when you stop forcing your own plans and allow God to unfold His. Trusting God teaches you patience. It teaches you emotional discipline. It teaches you spiritual maturity. It teaches you to see beyond what is happening in the moment. Trust doesn't mean you will never feel fear. It means fear no longer controls your decisions. Trust doesn't mean you know the plan. It means you know the one who holds the plan. Trust doesn't mean the journey becomes easy. It means you become stronger through the journey. God is not ignoring your prayers. He is preparing the exact moment when everything aligns for your good. And when that moment comes, every closed door, every painful waiting season, every unanswered question will suddenly make sense because it was all building your faith, shaping your character, and positioning you for what God always intended for you. There are moments when life becomes so overwhelming that you begin to question whether God still sees you, whether He still hears the quiet prayers you whisper at night, and whether He still remembers the promises spoken over your life. The truth is, God has never taken His eyes off you, not even for a second. He watches every moment, every struggle, every silent battle you fight that nobody else notices. And even when it feels like nothing is changing, God is working in the places you cannot see. The process may be invisible, but the transformation is real. Trusting God means understanding that what is happening around you is not the full story. God works in layers, in timing, in steps that often don't make sense to the human mind. You may feel stuck, but God is moving pieces in the background. You may feel delayed, but God is aligning you with a greater purpose. You may feel forgotten, but God is preparing a breakthrough that will remind you you were never alone. Many people lose hope because they measure their lives by how things look instead of by what God is doing spiritually. They see closed doors and assume it's rejection, not realizing that some doors are closed because what lies behind them would have destroyed their peace. They see slow progress and assume God is silent, not understanding that the roots of their blessings are growing deeper before they rise higher. They see setbacks and think they're moving backward, when in truth, God is redirecting them towards something far better than they expected. Trusting God requires you to detach your emotions from temporary circumstances. Feelings change, situations shift, people come and go, but God's word remains steady. He doesn't make promises He can't fulfill. He doesn't start anything He cannot finish. He doesn't lead you into a season without preparing the way for you to walk through it. Trust isn't about having all the answers. It's about knowing who holds the answers. It's about believing that even when the path twists, God is guiding each step with intention. It's about knowing that confusion today can become clarity tomorrow. It's about letting go of overthinking because God already knows the ending from the beginning. When you trust God, you stop trying to control everything. You stop stressing over outcomes. You stop fearing what you can't predict. Instead, you live in a state of spiritual rest, not laziness, not passivity, but rest. A deep knowing that your life is secure in God's hands. This kind of trust produces strength. It produces boldness. It produces peace that doesn't make sense to the world. It produces confidence that doesn't come from circumstances, but from the presence of God within you. God often delays answers because He is preparing you to handle what you're praying for. Some blessings require growth, some breakthroughs require maturity, some opportunities require a stronger foundation. You may feel ready right now, but God sees the parts of your heart still healing, the parts of your mind still growing, the parts of your spirit still strengthening. Trust gives God access to finish what He started in you. It opens your life to divine timing. It keeps you steady in the waiting season. It keeps your faith alive when the journey becomes difficult. And when the moment comes, when the breakthrough arrives, you will realize why God made you wait. You will see how everything was connected. You will understand why certain people left, why certain doors stayed closed, why certain delays had to happen, and why God said no to things you once begged for. What God is preparing for you is bigger than your fear, bigger than your doubt, bigger than your delay. The waiting is not wasted. The process is not pointless. You are being shaped, positioned, strengthened, and aligned for something greater than the struggle you are facing now. There comes a point in every believer's journey where the pressure around them becomes so intense that it almost feels personal, as if life is targeting them specifically, as if every challenge is coordinated to break their spirit. But what most people don't recognize is that this pressure is often the signal of a spiritual shift taking place within them. When God is preparing you for a higher level, He allows certain situations to stretch you, refine you, and draw out qualities you didn't even know you had. Growth does not happen in comfort. Transformation does not happen in convenience. God uses discomfort to reveal strength, and He uses pressure to reveal purpose. Many people pray for elevation without realizing that elevation requires endurance. Before God places you in a higher position, He prepares your character to sustain it. He exposes weaknesses not to shame you but to heal them. He brings hidden wounds to the surface, not to hurt you but to free you. He removes people from your life, not to leave you lonely but to protect your future. These experiences feel painful, but they are necessary for the journey God is shaping ahead of you. When the pressure rises, it is not a sign that God is punishing you. It is a sign that God is purifying you. Just as gold is refined in fire, your spirit is strengthened in seasons where you are challenged to rely on God more deeply than ever before. You begin to pray differently. You begin to listen more carefully. You begin to discern more clearly. You begin to walk with a new awareness of God's presence. These are the moments where faith stops being something you talk about and becomes something you live. Pressure produces clarity. It reveals what truly matters. It exposes distractions. It separates temporary desires from God-ordained purpose. When you are under pressure, you start to understand which relationships nurture your spirit and which ones drain it. You begin to see what habits elevate you and which ones sabotage you. You begin to notice how your thoughts shape your destiny. God uses these moments to sharpen your focus so that you can see beyond the chaos and recognize His hand guiding every detail. And while the pressure may feel heavy, it is also a sign that you are stronger than you think. God would not allow you to face a level of difficulty that your spirit is not equipped to handle. You may feel tired, but your faith is growing. You may feel stretched, but your character is being fortified. You may feel confused, but your discernment is deepening. You may feel alone, but God is closer than ever. Sometimes God isolates you to elevate you. He removes the noise so you can hear His voice. He pulls you away from certain environments so He can reset your mind. He separates you from familiar patterns so He can introduce you to a higher version of yourself. The isolation you feel is not abandonment, it is preparation. You are being pulled out of who you used to be so God can build who you are becoming, and the pressure is part of that process. Pressure signals that something inside you is expanding. Your faith is expanding, your wisdom is expanding, your capacity is expanding. You are being shaped for responsibilities you haven't even seen yet. You are being prepared for blessings you haven't even imagined. You are being positioned for opportunities that will require the version of you that God is forming in this very season. The enemy wants you to believe that the pressure is a sign that you are failing, but God wants you to understand that the pressure is a sign you are evolving. You are stepping into a new dimension of your calling. You are shedding old identities, old fears, old limitations. You are stepping into spiritual authority, stepping into maturity, stepping into a deeper connection with God. Every challenge is shaping you. Every delay is teaching you. Every tear is watering the seeds of your future. Nothing you are facing is wasted. God is using all of it to prepare you for the next level He has already written into your destiny. There are moments in life when God begins to shift things around you so quietly and subtly that you may not even realize something supernatural is happening. This shift is not loud, not dramatic, not obvious to everyone around you, but your spirit begins to sense it. You start noticing that certain things that once satisfied you no longer do. Certain habits that once felt normal now feel heavy. Certain environments you used to enjoy suddenly feel draining. Certain people who once felt close now feel distant. This is not random. It is the work of God repositioning your spirit for a greater assignment. When God is preparing you for something bigger, He starts disconnecting you from anything that cannot survive in the place He is taking you. You may try to hold on, but He gently pulls your hand away because He knows what you don't. He sees the future you cannot see. He understands the dangers you are not aware of. He protects you from battles you don't even know are ahead. So He moves you, shifts you, and separates you in ways that feel confusing in the moment but make sense later. Many people mistake this spiritual shift for loneliness or rejection. They think something is wrong with them or wrong with their life, but in reality, God is simply preparing the atmosphere around them for elevation. He is clearing the space for new blessings to come in. He is removing noise so you can hear Him clearly. He is shutting doors that have expired their purpose. Every time you sense this shift, it is because God is trying to realign your spirit with His timeline. The things that leave your life in these seasons are not losses. They are adjustments. They are divine reorganizations. They are God's way of making sure nothing in your environment interferes with what He is about to release. And as this shift unfolds, you may feel a strange kind of peace even in the middle of uncertainty. You may not understand why, but deep inside you feel like something is changing. You wake up sensing that a new chapter is close. You find yourself thinking differently, praying differently, expecting differently. This is God stirring your spirit, awakening a new level of awareness inside you. You start noticing signs you used to ignore. You become more sensitive to spiritual signals. You start discerning people's true intentions without them saying a word. You feel distance growing between you and people who are not aligned with your future, even if nothing dramatic happened. This spiritual sensitivity is part of the shift. God is sharpening your discernment because what He is preparing for you requires clarity. You cannot take confusion into your next season. You cannot take spiritual blindness into your next level. You cannot take emotional instability into the assignment God is building for you. So He aligns you from the inside out. He fixes your inner posture. He adjusts your spiritual antennas. He tunes your heart to His frequency. You begin to notice that you have less tolerance for negativity, drama, and distractions. Things you used to entertain now irritate your spirit. Patterns you used to overlook now feel unacceptable. This is a spiritual detox orchestrated by God. He is refining your environment, your mindset, and your circle because your next season requires a version of you that is focused, grounded, and fully aligned with His voice. And as the shift deepens, you start to see that certain doors close without warning. Opportunities you thought you wanted slip away. Plans you were sure about suddenly fall apart. People you trusted reveal their true colors. At first it feels like loss, but with time you realize it was divine protection. God removes anything that would sabotage your next blessing. He ends anything that is not rooted in his plan. He exposes any connection that would drain your spirit later. This shift is not punishment, it is preparation. It is God rearranging things so your blessing has room to land. It is God organizing your path so that nothing blocks what He has ordained for you. It is God positioning you spiritually, mentally, and emotionally for the season that is coming. You may not understand every detail, but your spirit knows that God is preparing something beyond anything you've experienced before there comes a moment in every believer's life when God begins to stretch your faith in ways you didn't expect, not to break you but to expand you. He allows situations that push you beyond your familiar limits because the blessing He is preparing for you requires a stronger version of you. You start facing challenges that seem too heavy, obstacles that feel too big, delays that feel too long, but all of it is a divine setup to strengthen the spiritual foundation inside you. When God is about to trust you with something greater, He first develops the capacity to hold it. You cannot pour a gallon of blessing into a cup-sized spirit, so He grows you, stretches you, and molds you. That stretching often feels uncomfortable because it forces you to face the parts of you that you usually avoid. You begin to see your fears exposed, your weaknesses rise to the surface, your patience is tested, your trust is challenged, your persistence is examined, and while it feels like everything around you is tightening, God is actually enlarging your spiritual muscles. He is preparing you to carry what you prayed for without collapsing under the weight of it. This is why certain seasons feel harder right before the breakthrough arrives. The pressure increases not because God is distant, but because He is close. He is shaping you for promotion. He is refining your attitude, strengthening your resilience, sharpening your focus, and maturing your faith. He is removing the old mindsets, toxic patterns, and emotional reactions that would sabotage what He's getting ready to release in your life. During this stretching season, you will often feel misunderstood by the people around you. They may not understand your journey, your decisions, or the battles you're fighting in silence. They don't see the spiritual process happening behind the scenes. They don't feel the weight you carry or the faith you've had to hold on to. You may feel alone, but you are not abandoned. You are being trained for something specific, something tailored, something heaven designed. God isolates you not to punish you, but to speak to you without distractions. Isolation becomes your training ground. Silence becomes your classroom. Stillness becomes your strengthening place. And in that place, God teaches you how to depend fully on Him, not on people, not on circumstances, not on your own understanding. As your dependency shifts, your perspective shifts, you begin to see life differently. You start recognizing that the very challenges you wanted God to remove were actually preparing you for the blessing you asked Him to send. You begin to appreciate the delays that once frustrated you because you now realize they protected you from entering a season you weren't ready for. You start to see the patterns of God's timing, the beauty of His strategy, and the wisdom of His process. This stretching also awakens spiritual gifts inside you that you didn't know you had. Suddenly your prayer life deepens not because things are easy, but because you need God more. Your discernment sharpens because you've had to navigate difficult moments. Your ability to hear God's voice increases because you learned to listen in the silence. You find strength you didn't know was hidden in your spirit. You discover perseverance you didn't realize you possessed. You tap into a boldness that surprises even you. God uses every part of this stretching to elevate your character, expand your faith, and prepare your hands to hold the blessing. And even though you may feel like you're being pulled in different directions, God never stretches you beyond what you can carry. He stretches you to the measure of the blessing He already prepared. He knows exactly how much to pull so that you grow without breaking. He knows how to shape your path so that when the blessing arrives, you are strong enough, wise enough, prepared enough, and mature enough to manage it. When God stretches you, it is because something big is coming, something that will require the upgraded version of you, something that will demand spiritual maturity, emotional stability, and a deeper level of trust. you begin to understand that the stretching was never meant to harm you, but to prepare you for the divine opportunity ahead.